What's going on YouTube? TrinityTCG here, giving you guys a deck profile and a long-awaited deck that I've been testing. Azi Dahaka, and I think we'll do this as a double feature. We will have two Azi Dahaka decks in this video. We'll have Azi Dahaka Zwei and Azi Dahaka Ein for the 10th anniversary set. We'll start with Dragon Ein, and we'll work our way down. So Dragon Ein is probably the first Buddyfight deck I actually don't run the base number. I actually run a little more than 50, I believe. And there's a good reason, because this deck draws so much. There's just so many good cards you want to run. And yeah, without further ado, we'll get on the deck file. We, of course, have our flag, Dragon Ein. And I got this deck at the end of the game when my friend was quitting, and I ended up updating it with the 10th anniversary. And I've been testing it, and I really like this build. Unfortunately, I have to share one card with Zwei and Ein, and that is the secret Reincarnation Demonic Dragon Provoke. I can't pronounce that. It's basically the kill Azi Dahaka draw 2. We have Dragon Ein, and we have the Azi Dahaka Re-B. Me and my friends at the end of Buddyfight got, I think, 8 boxes of Buddy Ragnarok. That was our last case to celebrate the end of the game. We love this game. We played it since the beginning, and it's still played to this day with a few of us. Next, we'll move on to the main deck. I play 4 copies of the Buddy, Azi Dahaka. If you wanted, you could run Buddy, Future Card Buddyfight. I don't think it's necessary. Again, I play on the community ban list because I think this game is very unbalanced at some points. And yeah, we definitely need some balancing things. So the community ban list does a decent job of addressing some of the issues. And that being said, that's for the Re-B Azi Dahaka. Next, we run 3 copies. I'll move it up to the light a little bit, see if there's no glare. Of Mark of Transgression, Azi Dahaka. This is a way to equip 2 items. Just another Azi Dahaka target. And then we'll move on to our last Azi Dahaka, which is, I believe this is Reincarnation Great Dragon, Azi Dahaka. Just a really good card, but gives you some protection, you know, just really good. Move on to our key cards. We have 2 copies of Time Scout Sephira. Sorry, I can't pronounce these names anymore. It's been too long. It's been a very long day, so please forgive me for the name pronunciations. Time Soldier from the Time Dragon deck. It's basically our filter card. Lets you take the top cards of your deck to add something to your hand, and then it's been a long day. But yeah, filter card. Next, you play 2 copies of Chaos Alberon. When it leaves the field, you basically mill 2 and then draw a card. Some deck filtering and more ways to draw cards. 2 Chaos Albion. This is a really good card. Next is a card we're sharing with the deck. So I'm playing 2 copies of Reincarnated Evil Demonic Dragon. Basically, it's one of our ways to destroy Azi Dahaka, and it also draws us 2 cards. This card's impossible to find. If I could pick up 2 more, I probably would, but I just share them between each other. I think it's fine. I have 4 copies. That's it for those. Move on to Operation Spirit. 2 copies, another way to dig and get gauge. And finally, our last monster in the deck is 2 copies of Dragon Knight Caslavio. Oh my god, these names. It's been so long, I can't even say them anymore. Moving on to spells. I played 3 copies of Dragon Fair Skyline. It's basically Grateful Charity for 2 gauge. 3 copies of Dragon Emperor Legend. Gauge, draw, gain life. Tails was done. 2 copies of Curse Ritual Ries. It is just an incredibly powerful card. It's a way to blow up Azi Dahaka, I believe. Yep. Destroy a monster in the field. It's one of the ways we can blow up Azi Dahaka. It gauges, it draws, it destroys cards. It's really powerful. Next, we played 2 Dragon Shield Ries. Again, 10th anniversary secretly buffed Azi Dahaka, and it's kind of crazy because half of the cards are dragon, so you can just run them in Azi Dahaka and get by. Look at that. 2 Dragon Shield Ries. It's also a draw, so it filters. 2 copies of Proclaim Battles. Decisive Point. It's basically another draw card. It gives you protection. 2 copies of Dragon Prudent. Look at that. Another draw card that powers up Azi Dahaka. Who would have guessed it? It's also another basically Dragon Shield Ries. Next, we're running 3 copies of Divine Dragon Creation. And it's basically Divine Dragon Creation, but you draw 3 cards by discarding a card. And if you discard it. If you have a Dragon Emperor, Divine Dragon Creation, you drop some, you draw another card. So you basically draw 4 off this. I believe it's been a minute. Too many games at once. Yep. Draw 3, and then you may draw another card. Yep, I was right. I was pretty sure. My memory's pretty dang good. We'll play 3 copies of Divine Dragon Creation. It's basically just a pay 2 life to draw 2 cards. You combo it with the other card. You can basically draw 6. 2 cop. You don't really need this, but I like running it. If you wanted to cut it, you probably could, but I just think it's a really good card, and I have 2 copies. So we run. It's another draw card. We run 2 copies of Disaster Palace. You know, good, fantastic card. Combos with the item. 2 copies of Warlord Sword Release. Basically pay a gauge and 2 life, and you can draw a card equal to the number of different worlds in your field. Insane card right there. Next, we play 3 copies of Abyss Gear. Way to get Azi Dahaka back and some protection. And then the best card in the deck, which I could run 4 above, but I think 3 has been really consistent. A Sinister Symphony. It basically searches your Dragon Throne, and I believe your Azi Dahaka. I don't actually ever draw into this, ironically. I always hard draw the Azi Dahaka. Put up the 1 Azi Dahaka and not the 1 Dragon from your deck to your hand. All items get penetrate and double attack. Same card. And then, of course, we're on Dragon Throne, so we can have size 4s on our board. And, you know, just... Dragon Throne Ruby is no good, by the way. Don't run it. It's not in name. If you only got to hard draw it, so you can't search it. Next we run... I've had this as long as I can remember. 2 Occult to Gualis, and 2 of the other sword, Occult to Gualis, to dual wield when we get the other Azi Dahaka. And that is it for the Dragon Ein version of Azi Dahaka. I will now be moving on to Dragon Zwei. So stay tuned while I take out the other 2 cards and put it over. Alright. Here it is. My Dragon Zwei deck. Let me slide that in here. There it is. First, of course, we have our buddy. It's Azi Dahaka If. And we have the flag Dragon Dry. You start with 4 cards in hand. And you have 20 life. And you can only run monsters with Dragon in their attribute. Of course, there's, I think, 1 or 2 cards that has a clause for it. But yeah, we'll move on to the main deck. Of course, I'm running my favorite card, which actually is the last card I got from my mom as a Christmas gift before she passed away. Which is the... White Supreme Dragon, Deity of Creation, Gain. Sorry, there's a shadow on my end. I can't really see the name. I'm trying to remember all the names by heart. But it's been too long, and I have way too many decks to remember all the names. Basically, this card is just insane. I have 2 copies of it. I have an SP and 1 regular. Transform. It cannot be destroyed or returned to hand. Abilities can't be nullified. Draw until you have 6 cards in hand. You can discard a card from your hand. It gets double attack and penetrate. So honestly, what I do with this card is I normally go into it and then go into If. And kind of just extend and add more filter to my hand, like more cards. So if I've basically opened the jackpot, which I do actually open pretty consistently in this deck, I basically try to get as much gauge as possible, go into this, refill my hand, and then go into If. Like, immediately. But yeah, that's just 2 copies of that. Then 4 copies of Gain If. It's the other version. It has Transform, it has Triple Attack. I believe it attacks everything. And it's just incredibly... All your Azi Dahakas get size reduced by 3, so you summon 2 Azi Dahaka Ifs, and you kind of just push. Then we have the buddy of the deck, Azi Dahaka If. I have 4 copies. I'm going to read one out loud, just so I can remember the exact wording. Put a monster from your field into the drop zone and pay 2 gauge. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. If there are no monsters on your opponent's field, drop 2 of their gauge, deal 2 damage to your opponent, and destroy 2 cards in the field. At the start of the attack phase, if you are transformed with the card of Gain, you may call this card in the drop zone without paying the cost. So if you have this on your field and you have 2 copies of this, you can get 2 Azi Dahakas to your field for free. And then we have 4 copies of Azi Dahaka, Mark of Atonement, Azi Dahaka Cease. It's just the fastest way to turbo into Dragon Dry. And here's a card that I was running as a tech card. I can't recall if I was running it originally with Fravos or not. But here's a card that if you can't afford Fravos, you could kind of tech in. I'll try it out. Time General Tabasco is what I call him. Basically, is a way to pop your monster. And he's basically a counter to gain life in a clutch situation. And then I run 2 of my original triple rare, the first triple rare I ever got. As a very near and dear place in my heart, Dragonite Presto. Basically, it's just a rest. You call him, you rest him, and you draw a card. It's a filter monster. And you kind of sack him with Azi Dahaka. You kind of dig deeper in your deck. And, of course, we're running 3 copies. 3 different copies, ironically enough, because I pulled 3 different ones. Of Style of Impact Ball Dragon. Basically, I hate Ball. I hate Sun Dragons. I have a deck profile coming soon, actually, because my friend gave me the deck in my collection, and I think the list is pretty good. But it's basically you're playing this to summon him, pay 1 life, and get 3 gauge so you can call Azi Dahaka. And the idea is I want to call over Ball because I hate Ball. I just hate Sun Dragons. I love Garga. I love every other main character deck. But when it comes to Sun Dragons, I just have a hatred. Like, I don't know what it is. I can't justify it because Garga is just better and does the same thing. But, yeah, I just hate what Sun Dragons just always opens the nuts against me whenever I fight it. And I think that's where my hatred stems from. I think it's personal bias. But no, the deck just does so much. Anyway, we're on 3 copies of Demonic Dragon Rondo from the last extra booster. It was basically just our protection card. Counter your stock can't be destroyed, turn to hand, yada yada yada. 4 copies of this. If this is over 50, it's probably because I was running 2 of this in the deck and 2 Tabasco. But that's fine. I think having both is fine. I don't really see an issue. This is basically a way to pop Sis and the other Azi Dahaka to basically draw 2 cards and filter your deck more and more. This is your main consistency card. If you're playing Zwei, you absolutely need 4 copies. I cannot stress that enough. I mean, minimum 3, but I really suggest 4 if you can afford it and you can find it and you can proxy it. Just run 4. If you're playing online and you're playing Zwei, you need to run 4 of that. Next, I'm running 4 copies of Vargas. Basically, just draw 2. Or is it draw a card? Yep, just draw 2. Just a good draw 2. Then I'm running 3 of the original Retainer Demonic Dragon Destructor. It's a really good card. And 3 of the Rebi version of Destructor. Again, filtering, draw. Get everything out of the deck. See your pieces. Get your gauge. We played 2 copies of this. I dropped it to 2 recently. I was on 3. 2 has been fine. I actually barely use this, but when I do, it's very clutch. Basically, you recycle something, you drop something, and get a gauge. And you gain life. And this is a really good card. I can't remember its name. Trainer of Demonic Dragon, Future Eater. How did I forget a cool name like that? And then we run 4 copies of Retainer of Demonic Dragon. Giltar, you could probably run 3 if you really wanted to. But I really like 4. Just the shield from Dropstone. This is so nice. Call over it, and you just get it later on. And so 4 copies of that. And then 4 copies. Again, you could run 3 of this. Personal preference. I run 4 copies of the Abyssgate just to see my Zweis, my Azi Dahakas, and stuff like that. Just to see it. And discard a card from your hand, get a gauge, and you can basically add Azi Dahaka from your deck to your hand. So you search out the Azi Dahaka you need in the exact moment. Then we're running 3 copies of the only spell I think we're illegally allowed to run. There might be like 2 others. But this is Death Astray. This thing is insane. It does everything for the archetype. I was running a build with 2 copies. I think 3 is the right number. Personally, I kind of want to run 2, but I think it's greedy. 3 seems like the correct ratio. And I'll read it out loud. This card is absolutely insane. It is. You can only use this cast this card if your flag is Darkest Dragon World, Dragon 9, or Dragon Zwei. And because of that clause, we were able to run it even though it's a spell. Draw a card. Already really good. You can only use one of the effects per turn of Death Astray Ries. Put the one Azi Dahaka or Gain from your deck to your hand, shuffle your deck, search as your main engine. Draw the top 5 cards of your deck, and put the top 2 cards of your deck in the game into Gauge. Amazing, because you can get Gauge and keep fueling our plays. Turn all cards and attack your opponent, even if they have a monster in the center. Give a Shadow Die to the Azi Dahaka. Why not, right? Not like it already attacks everything anyway. Maybe you're in a pinch and something's not working. For this turn, when an opponent's card is destroyed, you deal 2 damage to your opponent. All 4 of these effects are amazing in Azi Dahaka. And then finally, I'm pretty sure you guessed the last 2 cards in the deck are 2 copies Dragon Dry. I got this off a friend at the end of the game. This deck is hella expensive and just really fun to play. I'm so happy I got it off him for free. It is so much fun, and I've been having a blast testing these 2 decks. I've been meaning to give this deck profile to you guys for a while. I've been exhausted with work and school and life in general. I'm falling behind on all the games I play, going to locals and everything else. But I hope you enjoyed these deck profiles. I highly recommend playing Azi Dahaka with the 10th anniversary stuff. It's extremely fun. It's so much fun to play. And without further ado, I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!